A lot of things in life, they do not seem to mix well. We all know that ice cream and spicy foods don't mix well, or that pineapple and pizza, to the horror to all Italians on the internet, doesn't mix well. But everyone thinks that education and games is the same thing. They can't mix well. You can talk about pizza and pineapple on pizza and ice cream and spicy food if they could belong, but there is one truth. That education and games do belong and should be mixed. Hello everyone. My name is Santiago Rebeiro and my topic is gamifying education for the better. Before I'd like to begin, I have to define what gamify means. When I say the word gamify, I wish to turn something into a game. Like when I take out my notebook and I write and I make a tic-tac-toe, I am gamifying my notebook. Now, before we begin, let's talk. So, games, they're made for entertainment, primarily dedicated for one to relax, de-stress, and enjoy. It's kind of a break from the monotonous lifestyle we lead. And a prime example of the monotonous lifestyle that we live is school. It is a continuous pattern from day one to day end. We constantly repeat the same pattern over and over again, from class A to class B to break, from class C to class D. I feel everyone at this point has felt the same thing over and over again. And school feels even more monotonous because something I'd like to say is known as passive learning. Passive learning is also known as road learning. It is where, like you see, a car travels down the road, only passing through the locations once and not revising them. In the same way, a teacher is explaining the information. The student tries their best to memorize. However, they do not revise it in the class. They go on a continuous road until the exams. This is a problem, ladies and gentlemen. It is a huge problem in our society, which leads to children having problems in understanding their subjects. You not felt this point, correct? That when you look at yourself and you feel you could do it when you did passive learning. Instead, you looked at yourself and you felt the exams much harder. I can tell that everyone here has felt the pain of passive learning spread today. Everywhere it's come, everywhere and it's been a constant problem ever since school was created back many, many decades ago. It's time for a change. And one of the changes we can implement is active learning. If you've heard of active learning, it deals with engaging with the student. When we engage, we are making sure the student is concentrating and is present. They are not just memorizing. They are learning and they are engaging. When we learn, we tend to memorize only. But when we engage, we tend to memorize the lesson in detail. So how do we unlock active learning? You see, the problem is that you require students to engage for active learning to necessarily work. Now, if anyone has played a game before, for them to any way to work, you have to play them. You have to turn on the screen. You have to make all the moves. And that's how you play a game. So, by gamifying education, you are making sure that engagement is constant. Let's talk about the problems that I see in school, and it is the complexity of subjects. There are some subjects that at times we have felt are all too complicated. I feel the most probable here is math. I feel everyone here has felt the difficulty of math for at least once in their lives. You know, but then games are simple in nature. They are designed to be, especially in those of an educational value. In this way, we are telling the mind that it is much more easier than they think. You see, if we think the subject is too complex, too hard for us, we're developing a very bad mindset. A mindset of giving up. A mindset where we feel less hopeful and that we cannot do it. This is a terrible mindset and does not help to alleviate the issues that we struggle in society right now. But we need to delete this mindset and replace it with active learning mindset. That because we engage, because we constantly are there, and because we constantly improve, because we engage, we can do it and we can do this. I would also like to talk about the fact that education is rather monotonous. As we all have known, and as I've repeated several times, it's a constant stream of repeating things over and over again. Games help to break this monotony. When you do something different, you often break the cycle of monotony and make something interesting. It's like if you created cookies for every single day, but then you decided to create a cake. It feels much more interesting than the cookies, correct? So when we feel that we want to do something interesting, we should gamify it. Now, when it comes to education, when I'm learning, say, math, it's going to be different than English, correct? So when you gamify math, you're not going to have the same formula as English. And each chapter needs a different type of gamified way to process and to teach learners. I would like to talk about the most important problem we have all faced as well. Now, during the exams, we are all cramming information in our heads. The 10th grade class can tell you that, in fact, that we have crammed so much information in our heads that the moment the exams ended, we straight up threw it all away. And you know why? Because passive learning only made us memorize because we needed it for the sake to pass that exam. We weren't truly interested. We weren't having fun because we were passive learning. But when you take active learning and you implement it into the 10th grade classroom, look at what we can achieve. Look at what we can gain. When we gain active learning, we become better. We become experienced. Have you seen the computer science class? The computer science class used active learning and its students were not able to worry about. When we try and we put in active learning and we put in the work, we're able to build a better future. But then, there's a subject I would like to talk about which really defines why I dislike passive learning, and that is biology. When our old teacher came, it was mainly passive learning. We did not have fun, and the lessons were rather less memorable and forgettable. It was quite bad. It was not enjoyable. It was something I had to actually take the book during the board exams and study for dear life because it was so hard. But when I gave the book an actual try on a free Sunday, I found interest. That's one more thing. Does passive learning really spark any sort of interest other than forcing you to cram the information? You're not doing it because you want to learn about this. You're doing it so you can pass. That's what every student's been doing since the time school has been created. We've been doing it simply so we could pass. But when you put gamification, you turn anything to a game, you're enjoying it, you're learning, and then suddenly that book opens up on a chill Sunday night as you read it and you spark interest. I would never have found how interesting biology ever is. You think I would have found how cool chromosomes are, how interesting, how everything works if I didn't actually try myself or I didn't gamify it for myself and I used active learning? So what does gamification actually fit in this? I've stated a lot about active learning, but not stated how truly gamification fits into the puzzle piece of unlocking active learning. Well, you see, to keep us engaged, we must enjoy ourselves. And games are meant for this purpose. They are meant for de-stressing. They are meant for relaxation. And they are meant for enjoyment. Allowing them when they are added to education to make the learning fun and memorable experiences all into one. When we learn from active learning and from gamification, we are doing much better than we would with active learning. I mean passive learning. I would like to talk about one last issue that I've seen plague across every student's mind, and that is how boring school is. Let's be all honest here. How many of you have just wanted to sleep in school? Let's just be honest. Quite literally, everyone has wanted to sleep. No one wants to be at school for how boring it is. It's supposed to be fun. Because you know something? This is not really known by the rest of the world well, but fun is a part of learning. We need fun in learning. Otherwise, we will not remember it well. As this quote by Ralph Costner states, that's what games are. Teachers, fun is another word for learning. So, in conclusion, when you want to teach a child something or a person something, you want to make it memorable and not forgettable. And when you want to make that non-forgettable, you gamify it. You don't do it for the sake of studying. You do it for the sake of making sure that the next generation will find everything more boring than my generation combined, because I'm telling you it's going to get that way in the future. It's going to get much more interested. So we make a choice right now or we don't. If we don't make the choice now, you can expect a dystopian future when no one understands and we only do the work for the sake of it. So we make a choice now or we don't. Gamify education for the better. Thank you. I am Santiago Rebeiro.